Hola, everybody. I'm Dr. Robinson, a adjunct professor at Texas A&M University Commerce, and this is Reality Therapy for Children and Adolescents. Many of you may be watching this recording as part of your theory class, and if so, you've heard me say this several times with every one of these, but just in case you're not, I'm going to go over this again, or in case you didn't hear it before, because this is some of the most important information about theories. All theories can be scaffolded to be more concrete to meet the differences in development for children and adolescents. You need to choose the theory that fits you best based on your worldview. Then you can work on scaffolding that theory to meet your client's needs, whether that be children, adolescents, or different populations. We know that all these theories were created mostly by old white guys, so we can infuse multicultural considerations into all of these theories. One way theories have been adapted for kids is through play therapy. There are many different theoretical orientations to play therapy. Sand tray, activities, and expressive arts are other ways that we scaffold theories to be used with kids and adolescents. All right, reality play therapy is a thing. It's abbreviated REPT, and then you've got directive skills and techniques for reality for using with adolescents. Reality play therapy would tend to be more directive in nature. Aspects of non-directive play could be incorporated in order to build the therapeutic relationship and give the child control and choice in the playroom. And that comes from Stutey and Wubbolding. And if you know anything about reality therapy, Wubbolding is a huge reality therapy person. I had the pleasure of hearing him speak at Commerce, actually, on a symposium a few years ago. All right, reality child therapy versus reality theory. I'm not going to go over the right side of reality theory. Feel free to pause this and kind of peruse through it. If you are in the theories class, pro tip that these are the nature of the person and the maladjustment over there on the side. And we're going to compare reality child therapy to these. Now, I had to dig kind of deep to find some of this because the Association for Play Therapy puts out a lot of different information and puts out these few page articles on like what each theoretical orientation is with play therapy, but this is kind of a newer mesh up between reality and play therapy. So it took a lot to find some of this stuff. So reality child therapy is kind of founded on these tenets. The collection of wants is referred to as the quality world, and you'll hear that throughout this presentation because each specific want has quality in the person's mind. So to fulfill wants, needs, human beings generate total behavior, which is made up of their actions, thinking, feelings, and physiology. Counselors utilize the as-if mindset in dealing with actions and examine the client's total behavior. They treat actions as if they are choices, even if the clients have little control over a specific action. And this, I think of kids exactly. Kids don't have a lot of control over many of the things in their life. So that would be an important part of this. It's suggested to use this model with children's ages 7 to 14 who are more likely to be developmentally responsive to the cognitive nature of this model. This is a very cognitive model, so you would want to use this with older children. If you work with younger children, you would want to check out and get trained in child-centered play therapy. I'm trained in child-centered play therapy, and I use it as young as kids 3, maybe 2.5 if they're have a lot of imaginative play already. But anything under 7 would not be very useful because developmentally kids can't handle that. Their development doesn't meet the needs to be able to process out loud for therapy. Many kids under 7 may be highly verbal, but there's a difference between talking and carrying on a conversation and processing in a symbolic way that you would need to make lasting changes. REPT will utilize both directive and non-directive play therapy techniques in order to allow the child to exercise control and choice in the playroom and throughout the therapeutic process. All right, reality goals for children. I'm not going to go over the reality theory goals, but you'll see they kind of mirror each other. And if you'll notice on the other side, that WDEP system, the wants, direction, and doing, evaluation, planning, and action is used throughout this. The goal is for the child to utilize these newfound insights and skills from therapy to make more positive choices in the process of fulfilling their needs. A counselor working from a reality therapy lens views that the client's total behavior is driven by the desire to meet one of their 5 basic needs: survival or self-preservation, love or belonging, power or inner control, freedom or independence, and fun or enjoyment. And those kind of make you think of the motivations for behavior from Adlerian. All right, now normally when we get to this slide for these different presentations, if you've watched multiple of them, this is the process for how this works. But reality therapy is really more about different activities that mesh up each time and processing through those different activities. So in the process of reality therapy, they suggest that for the first session is a non-directive play session, much like child-centered play therapy, where the kid comes into the playroom and is allowed to explore and play with different things. And the therapist tracks that, reflects, and uses I wonder statements. And you'll hear me talk about I wonder throughout these 4 activities here. And that's like, oh, I wonder if what you're doing, or I wonder if you chose that for this, or I wonder where you're going to put that, or what meaning that has to you. You're just using those different I wonder statements to kind of help reflect and find out more about what's going on. So then you might go from that session to a WDEP activity, and they suggest to use drawing or sand. Drawing is not always developmentally appropriate, so you might also use sand depending on the kid's interest in drawing and their fine motor skills. So I'm going to kind of talk through what that WDEP looks like. And so that's that wants, doing, indirection, evaluation, and planning. And you're going to kind of hear that throughout this. So you might start that activity with something saying like, today we're going to play in the sand. The first thing I would like for you to do is look around the room and find things that you want in your life. And as the child puts things in their little bucket or gathers them up, you track and reflect and use those I wonder statements to learn more about the items they have chosen and why they want those things in their life. The therapist can highlight the child's area of control and choice in the playroom by making comments. Then, once the child has set up their sand tray, the child chooses the 3 most important things that they want to keep in their life. The therapist might say, I wonder what you are doing to have or keep these things in your life. Then you process through that. Next you would, I wonder if what you are doing is helping you get what you want. At this point, the kid would create a second sand tray with the top 3 wants that they want to keep in their life. And then they can gather up additional figures. You're using those I wonder statements again at that time. They create that second sand tray, putting those things in the sand tray. And then you're saying, what could you say or do differently? What is a different choice you could make to get what you want? And processing to keep these. This might not take just 1 session. It might take more than 1 session. The next activity is this 5 basic needs activity. For this activity, you take a large piece of paper and create a circle, dividing it into fifths, and write each of the 5 basic needs in one piece of the circle. And you might even use finger paints or watercolors or markers or some other medium to let the child fill in the circle. The key is to explain each of these basic needs to the child one at a time. And so you're explaining each one. And ask the child to imagine how much of each basic need is present or missing in their life. Before they work on the wheel that you've created and color on it or paint on it, you might bring in 5 different cups and different colors of water. The child can practice pouring the amount of water in the cup that represents how much of each basic need they think they have. For example, if a child says, I have as much love as my heart can hold, then they would fill the cup up to the very top. After they've done this, they paint on the wheel that you've created or color, starting at the center of the spokes and moving out towards the edges to color in how much they have of each one. Now, after that, you're going to cut it out and cutting only the spaces that they colored in. So it starts out looking kind of like this bicycle wheel, but then it kind of looks like this odd shape because not all the pieces are going to be filled up all the way. And so you're going to put that on cardboard, and then you're going to talk about that analogy. Like a bicycle wheel, it needs more air in each of these pieces. So you might blow bubbles or talk through each of those pieces of the, adding things, even cutting out of magazines with like a collage to adding different spokes, different pictures to each of the spokes, how the kid could get more of what they want in each of those areas. All right, the next activity is Quality World, and you can use sand or you can use blocks or figures for this one. So a child's quality world consists of a series of pictures from birth to present, which includes people they want to be with, the things they want, and the ideas that guide their total behavior. So you might tell a kid, picture your current world and begin to build what this looks like out of blocks. Use I wonder statements to track and reflect as they are building. Then the child chooses figures for people that they want in that world, in that like structure they've created, and then they go in the playroom and find things they want in their world. And so you're processing through the people they want and the things they want in the world, again working through those wants and desires, the direction and doing, the evaluation and the planning. The last activity is a total behavior activity, and this uses puppets or role play. So this focuses on their total behavior, which again is that thinking, acting, feeling, and physiology. The child chooses a problematic behavior, or you may even need to consult with parents or teachers to kind of find out, what might be a problematic behavior in the child's world. Then you're going to act out with puppets and role play. And the therapist has a remote control, and you're going to show this to the kids, and it can be a dummy remote control, or you could ask the kids in the playroom, pick something that looks like a remote control to you that we could use as a remote control, and letting the kids do it. It could be a magic wand. You could do all kinds of different cool stuff with this. So the therapist has remote control, and as the kiddo is acting out a specific scene that they can think of where this problem behavior has occurred, the therapist pauses the scene as the behavior escalates to talk through the thoughts and actions leading up to that and happening at that time. Once you work all the way through this, then the kid chooses to play or rewind at that part. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to rewind back and replay that part? Once you've worked all the way through this, then you give the child the remote and let them be in control. And you kind of talk about that analogy of like, you may not have a remote control when you are in class or at home and when these big feelings come up. So you want to work through maybe some mindfulness, some awareness stuff, breathing, and some calm down strategies. So instead of having that remote, they're pausing within themselves, taking a moment to stop, think, and then act. The goal of reality with children is to help the client have a better life, even though it might not be perfect, and to provide them with specific tools to use in the future. Guys, I really struggled. I like to put in resources like a good book or something or two. There's several good books out there by Glasser and by Wubbolding just about reality therapy in general, but not a lot of stuff relating to reality and children. So hey, if this is your thing, then maybe you should go out, get immersed in reality therapy, know it inside out, and write a book with kids. So then I can recommend that. All right, but there are a couple videos to watch if you're looking for more about reality with kids. Wubbolding discusses reality with children. And then this next one, family counseling using reality therapy, you're going to have to log into counseling and therapy and videos through the library. And then if you're looking for all things reality and choice theory, then this link here has a giant list of videos over everything you could want about reality, including with different populations and with adults and everything. There's a case example here, and there's a lot here, so I'm not going to read through it, but feel free to pause this and kind of read through it. It kind of walks you through what a case example would look like with an 8-year-old boy, and then it walks you through one of those activities, that WDEP with sand that I talked about in the previous slide. Questions, email me or Dr. Hickman, as always. Here are references. I believe I have 2 slides of this. And again, thanks for watching.